I'm Ted Keys in Pasadena, California. Welcome to my Tuesday conference call, a free, high-powered meeting I hold live every Tuesday for top-producing freight agents. Go to tedkeysonline.com for complete call information. Then join us weekly to see new, serious, struggling, and experienced sales professionals move more freight efficiently, effectively, effortlessly, and make more money financially. So watch my recorded call topic highlighted there on your screen right now. Then go to tedkeysonline.com and hear more podcasts, read more blog posts, watch more videos, and while you're there, visit my Freight Sales Success Store for top-notch freight moving products to explode your business today. Enjoy watching and applying my Tuesday conference call. What other questions can I answer before I get into my topic today? Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody out here as I normally do. Just bear with me. Hello and welcome everybody again to my Tuesday conference call. Ted Keys, your host here in Pasadena, California. As always, this is a free high-powered meeting I hold live every Tuesday for top-producing freight agents at 2 p.m. Pacific time and 5 p.m. Eastern time. On the call today, as usual, I'll show you how to move more freight efficiently, effectively, and effortlessly so you make more money financially. And after the call, go to my website, tedkeysonline.com, to hear more of my podcasts, read more of my blog posts, watch more of my videos, and then, while you're there, visit my Freight Sales Success Store for top-notch freight moving products to explode your business today. And while you're there, taking in all this free info, go to my contact page. Just look up at all the links above the top, go to my contact page and enter your contact details. By doing that, you'll receive my personal weekly invite to this and every call, along with the attachments that I go over on every call. You'll also get my free report that's been downloaded thousands of times, 11 ways freight agents will increase their income. My training topic for today, is how to build rapport with freight prospects. Let me say that again, how to build rapport with freight prospects. Now, for those of you who are on my email list that receive that email invite weekly to this call, go ahead and go to any one of the announcements that I sent you and scroll down to the bottom. You'll see that there are a number of attachments down there. I'm going to go over each one by one. If you are there, just go ahead and open up that first one. As usual, you'll see that that first attachment, as it is on every call, is our Green Meadows Productions Agent Leaderboard. Why do I put this on there? I put this on there specifically for my agents that are with our office. Your goal, your first goal, and your continuing goal is to get your name, see your name on this leaderboard. Not only see it on there initially, but as time goes on, as you move more freight, to see your name move up the leaderboard. There are 3 different categories as you see there. Make it your goal to get on this board and move up in any one of those categories that you specialize in. So that is our agent leaderboard. That is attachment number 1. Just go ahead and open up attachment number 2. We're going to go over our main topic today. Again, as I said earlier, our main topic today is how to build rapport with freight prospects. How to build rapport with freight prospects. Let me just give you a little insight before I get into my main gist of this topic here. And that is, building rapport might sound like a construction project, but it's actually an essential and human and definitely a freight sales success skill that we all must get better and better at if we're going to be successful in this profession. When 2 people connect, in general, they have a choice. They can stare awkwardly at each other without interaction, or they can start a conversation to get to know each other. Again, they have their choice. They have to make that choice. One main point to remember is that every business out there in our country, in the US or in the world, is a people business. Doesn't matter what your industry is or what you do. If you're not relating to the people you deal with, talk to, manage, or lead, your freight sales career won't last long. It's that simple. That's why building rapport is so essential, especially when you're building relationships and selling over the phone, as we do in our profession here as a freight sales agent. Without that face-to-face contact, it's a little more challenging to have a human connection with your prospect. Again, it's that simple. I mean, without that face-to-face contact, it's going to be challenging to have that human connection, as I said earlier. The golden rule of rapport, the golden rule, the main rule with rapport, is to always behave like a human being. It's the first step of building confidence and trust, and it sets the stage that you're not going to be running the typical sales conversation as a pushy freight sales agent with your browbeaten prospect. And this will have a real effect on your sales. The main purpose of rapport, again, the main purpose of rapport is to get a mental picture of who you're talking to so that you can tee up information in a way your prospect will like and that they'll relate to. Now, how you establish a good relationship with freight prospects? What'll happen? Well, it's going to depend on your personality and how you communicate with those prospects. But no matter who you are, there's a few commonalities in the rapport building process. So as usual, going to go over some tips, going to go over some points. Today, basically, going to go over 5 tips to build rapport successfully with your freight prospects. Again, going to go over 5 tips to build rapport successfully with your freight prospects. Tip number 1, guys. Tip number 1 is to research your freight prospect on LinkedIn. Any prospect that you come up with, whether you call a prospect on ThomasNet, excuse me, folks, whether somebody was referred to you by somebody, the first thing you do is to research your freight prospect on LinkedIn. Let me say that again, research your prospect on LinkedIn. Before your first call, before you even call them, review your prospect's LinkedIn profile. Here's a couple important things to look for specifically on their LinkedIn profile. 1, are they smiling in their profile picture? How are they dressed? That's another question to ask. What's the background of their photo when they even have a photo? You'll be surprised that unfortunately I shouldn't say most, but so many individuals on LinkedIn will not even put their profile on there. So, I mean, if you're going according to these standards, I mean, these 3 don't even apply. However, if and when they have a profile, you know that you're dealing with a professional. A professional is not afraid to show you who they are, especially on LinkedIn. Another question is, what kind of hairstyle do they have? Another one is, do they have an advanced degree? It kind of shows whether, do they have an interest in education and do they continue to further their education? Another question, have I been to a place that they're from or went to for school? Just to see if there's a way that you can relate to this individual based on the information that they have provided on LinkedIn. The answers to these questions won't tell you everything you have to know, but they'll give you clues to how your freight prospect perceives themselves. Let me give you an example. A 50-year-old man in a tie is going to behave differently than a millennial in a t-shirt. What a great example, huh? With that said, you'll quite naturally respond differently to the questions that you ask them, again, based on those questions that I asked you earlier on just what you can decipher from their picture and their profile. Either way, the first tip is research your freight prospect on LinkedIn. Point number two is understand your freight prospect's persona. Let me say that again. Understand your freight prospect's persona. Your freight prospect's persona describes their business pain, job function, and other company data that sum up who they are and what they care about. In a nutshell, that is what their persona is. Your company typically, our company typically, but not always, may already have demographic information on who makes up our customer base. But what you have to understand is more than just demographics. You must understand your prospects' priorities and how their job shapes their business focus. That's what makes a great prospect persona. Every freight prospect cares about different things. That's the main point here about your prospect's persona. Let me say that again. Every freight prospect cares about different things. Of course they do. Everyone is different. You'll see that as you call different types of prospects. Really, you're going to see it in every prospect that you deal with. They all have different things. They have a different personality, and this needs to be communicated with differently. Building rapport about meeting people on their turf and treating them how they want to be treated. So, just based on that, understanding your freight prospect's persona is crucial. So again, tip number two, understand your freight prospect's persona. Let me just go ahead and move on to tip number three here. Tip number three is get your freight prospect to laugh. I mean, hey, you may not have a great personality, but boy, when you can get people to laugh, it just frees them from the tenseness that they may be in because they've never heard or spoken to you before. Laughter is the best way to start any sales call. Let me say that again. Laughter is the best way to start any sales call. When you make a prospect laugh, you make them more comfortable and much more likely to tell you what's going on with their company and, hey, some of the pain that they're dealing with. And it reminds them that you're human too, not just a faceless freight sales robot. It also makes their experience more enjoyable with you. Again, it also makes their experience enjoyable with you when you have the ability to get them laughed. Prospects who enjoy talking to you will spend more time in the sales process and, most importantly, will look forward to your calls more when they relate on a level beyond just business. So, tip number three is get your freight prospects to laugh. Tip number four, ask your prospect great opening questions. Let me say that again. Figure out a way to ask your prospects great opening questions. It's in the beginning, guys. Ask extremely general questions to understand where your prospect is coming from. For each of your questions, your prospect's voice tone is just as important as their answer, and it's something that you absolutely have to pay attention to. Are they into your conversation that you're having with them? Do they find it annoying? Do they seem distracted or engaged? This is what happens when you ask them great questions. When you ask them great questions, they're just going to feel a natural attraction to answering your questions. Your objective, one of your main objectives, is to just get your prospect talking as much as possible early on in the conversation so you can learn more about them as a person. Avoid generic questions about the weather or sports. Absolutely. Let me say that again. Avoid generic questions about the weather or sports. They may seem like easy places to start, but they're pedestrian questions. They're just simple questions. They mean very little, and your prospect is heard dozens of times, and they typically hear them from unpolished freight agents. My question to you is, do you want to appear as unpolished or do you want to appear as polished? Weather and sports, don't do it. They're too generic. It's too commonplace. Don't start with questions dealing with weather and sports. Here's a couple examples of open-ended conversation starters to gauge your prospect's mood and state of mind early on in your conversation. A couple examples here, guys. How's it going? Real simple, right? Another one. Are you having fun today? Another one. Wow, can you believe it's Friday already? Now, don't just come out and say these things, guys. Say it in conjunction to the conversation you're having. If you just pick up the phone and the first question out of your mouth is wow, I can't believe it's Friday already, expect them to not be talking to you too long. Find a way to how to insert these questions into your conversation. That's the best way to build rapport initially with your prospects. Another example, what's your favorite day of the week? Again, say it in conjunction or something similar that you're already having this discussion, this conversation already with your prospect. But again, those are just easy, open-ended conversation starters to gauge your prospect's mood and their state of mind early on. Let me give you a couple lighthearted universal preferences to start a fun, playful discussion to relate to your prospect on a personal level. Are you a cat or dog person? What's your favorite drink? How long have you lived in, say, Atlanta, or in Charlotte, or in Evansville, or in Mankato? It doesn't matter, but how long have you lived there? What's your favorite restaurant in that city where you live? A couple examples here of profession-based questions to assist you form a picture of your prospect on a professional level. Again, these are questions geared for their profession. How long have you worked at your company? What's it like to work in your industry? How long have you been the shipping manager? How did you end up as the shipping manager? So you can see that these questions are very specific and they deal specifically with their profession. You can ask these questions to anyone. Again, insert them when you see the opening, when you feel that opening is there. Ask questions like these. So, number 4 is to ask great opening questions. Tip number 5 in building rapport with your freight prospects. Tip number 5 is know when to switch to sales mode. This is one of the most important tips that I can say, and that is know when to switch to sales mode. The first 4 tips have all been about building rapport, just getting your customer to talk to you freely, openly, and then leading up to tip number 5, know when to switch to sales mode. Your typical unpolished agent picks up the phone. The first thing they do is they go into sales. No, your goal first time out is to build rapport and then talk about sales. Building rapport is not relationship selling as too much. If it can be, you seem like a glad handling relationship seller. Typically, spend 3 to 6 minutes on initial rapport building. That's what I just talked about. Initially, it's all about rapport building. You know, gauge is 3 to 6 minutes. With some prospects, however, you may spend double that. It's all about reading your freight prospect. Some will be happy to talk your ear off. Again, those will be folks with a monkey type personality. While others want to get straight to the business, like me, again, those are folks with a lion personality. Again, I discuss this in my Freight Sales Success Guide on 4 different types of personalities. After you've read that, you'll know when you can, after you've gone over that, you'll be able to detect the different personalities that you talk to. However, in a nutshell, here's the basics for switching to sales mode. Real simple, real simple. Here's what you do. Ask a question, then hit the mute button. And when I say the mute button, I mean the mute button on your vocal cords. Let me say that again. You ask a question, then hit the mute button on your vocal cords. What do? Let your prospect answer and listen closely to what they say. Again, let your prospect answer and listen closely to what they say. You'll hear the point where your prospect is thinking, enough chit-chat, let's talk business. Once you get to that point, move to the purpose of your call Do it now. Do it today. It's that simple. In a nutshell, ask a question, be quiet, listen to what your prospect says based on what they say, then move in with whatever you have to say next about your freight service. Again, but ask the question, look for those openings where you can actually insert really the main purpose of your call, and that is to talk about or offer your freight service. So let me just go over real quickly again. 5 tips to build rapport with your freight prospects. Tip number 1, research your freight prospect on LinkedIn. Tip number 2, understand your freight prospect's persona. Tip number 3, get your freight prospect to laugh. By doing that, they're going to ease up. Tip number 4, ask your prospect great opening questions. These are questions that are starting to dig in about their freight needs. Tip number 5 is know when to switch to sales mode. 5 tips on how to build rapport successfully with your freight prospects. Great topic for today. As I usually do, go to attachment 3, and then we're going to talk about our Remember series, as I typically do on every call. So like I say, just X out of attachment 2, moving on to attachment 3, Remember. And again, these attachments deal with the topic that I'm talking about today. Attachment number 3, remember when you're talking to your prospects and customers. Again, this deals with rapport building. Prepare for each call by asking. Prepare for each and every call by asking, how can I assist this person? If you go in there with the mindset of, I'm going to tell this person all about my freight service, trust me, you're gonna spend a whole lot more time attempting to get their attention. When you go in every time by asking, how can I assist this person? How can I assist them with their business pain, with their shipping pain, whatever pain that they're going through, you're going to get through much quicker. So prepare for each call by asking, how can I assist this person? Go ahead and X out of there. Go ahead and open attachment number 4. Attachment number 4 reads, remember when you're calling your prospects and customers, remember people love to talk about themselves. Notice how I didn't say people love to talk about you. People love to talk about their business. No, remember when you're calling your prospects and customers that people love to talk about themselves. So what do you do based on that? Well, here's what you do. Find a subject, find an idea, find a situation that you're both interested in. Once you do that, you won't be able to stop them from talking. How do you do that? Obviously, you have to build rapport first. Use those 5 tips that I just went over before I got into this segment. So one more time, remember when you're calling your prospects and customers that people love to talk about themselves. What do you do? Based on that, you find a subject, idea, or situation that you're both interested in. When you do that, you won't be able to get them to stop talking. Go ahead and X out of there, move on to attachment number 5, I believe. Attachment number 5 reads, remember when calling your prospects and customers to do your research. Again, do your research. Calling a shipping decision maker before you gather any information on them says, basically, I didn't feel that you were important enough for me to take an interest and do any research on you. Very important. When you go into a call, you better have some type of research on their company, and even further, if you have some information on the prospect. Remember what I talked about earlier, tip number 1 in building rapport, visit your prospect's LinkedIn profile. If you want to get information, there it is. I mean, there is enough information on a prospect's LinkedIn profile for you to start any type of successful conversation with them and build rapport. So do your research. If you don't do it, you're basically telling them again, I didn't feel that you were important enough for me to take an interest and do any research on you. Let's go ahead and X out of there and move into attachment number 6. Attachment number 6 again reads, remember when you're calling your prospects and customers that there are no price questions. Believe it or not, there are no price questions, only value questions. Early on, no, that's not the case. Unfortunately, early on with a prospect, we have to show our prospects, our customers, that we can move their freight based on the prices that they're willing to pay or that they want to pay. However, this is geared for somebody that you've built rapport with, because after you've built rapport, a lot of it boils down to the service that you provide. Hence, as I said earlier, there are no price questions, there's only value questions. What do you do based on that? Provide the value that you promise to your customers. Continue to provide that superior value that you've promised to your customers. Let's go ahead and move on to that last attachment, guys. That last attachment reads, again, remember, when you're calling your prospects and customers, a bit of motivation here, guys. If you don't quit, you'll get everything you want. It's that simple. Unfortunately, early on in this profession, a lot of times we think about quitting. Well, if you quit, you're not going to get anything. However, if you don't quit and you keep persevering, you will get everything that you desire. The thing is, you've got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, you got to put in the perseverance, the determination. You have to follow my system that I set out for you. Again, that system is earmarked and explained in my Freight Sales Success Guide. One more time, if you don't quit, you will get everything that you want. In closing, guys, again, great topic for today. I'll ask it again. Do you want to receive the email notices and attachment for this and every call? Do you want to be personally invited to this and every call? Well, if that's the case, then go to my website, tedkeysonline.com, go to the contact page and enter your contact details. If you have a desire to be personally invited to this and every call, as I said earlier, again, go to tedkeysonline.com/contacts and go to the contact page and enter your contact details. Question: do you have questions about the call today, or do you have a desire to join our top producing freight team? Give me a call, 626-309-9141. Again, call me, Ted Keys, at 626-309-9141. Great topic today. We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Take care. God bless. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. You've just taken a tremendous step forward by watching and applying my Tuesday conference call highlight. Do you desire to earn and learn with our top freight team and Christian-based office? Yes? We're searching for a self-starter who's serious, motivated, and ready to take action right now. Is that you? Go to tedkeysonline.com/contacts and enter your contact details. We provide top-notch freight agent sales training to you. Then you deliver those same skills with confidence to the freight industry marketplace. I'll talk to you soon.